The reality TV world thought it had already seen every kind of betrayal. But this time, the drama didn't just simmer, it exploded. The moment Kirk Frost pulled out that mysterious clip, everything shifted like a storm tearing through calm skies. 1 second, the love and hip-hop universe was business as usual. And the next, a chaotic whirlwind had everyone scrambling for answers. Kirk didn't whisper. He didn't hint. He dropped what insiders are calling the most damaging receipt ever aimed at a cast member. A short, shadowy video. A dim hotel room. A familiar voice laughing in the background. And at the center of it all, Yandy Smith, someone fans always viewed as fiercely loyal, grounded, and unshakable. What should have been just another night turned into a spark destined to ignite a fire none of them could contain. Mendeecees reportedly froze the moment he saw the footage. His entire world narrowing to that 30-second clip that seemed to twist everything he believed in. Instantly, the stakes skyrocketed. Was this real? Was it twisted? Was someone being set up? Suddenly, the industry was buzzing. Alliances started cracking, and every blog began sharpening their knives. And Kirk, he sat there calm, almost too calm, like a man who knew he'd just flipped the entire franchise upside down. This wasn't just gossip. This was a grenade tossed into a marriage people idolized. A moment that left fans breathless, producers rattled, and insiders whispering that something much darker was brewing behind the scenes. And just when it felt like the dust might settle, the truth slipped further into the shadows. Because the clip was only the beginning. And the backstory behind it is even messier than anyone imagined, leading straight into the real heart of this unfolding chaos. At the center of this firestorm sits one explosive allegation. Kirk Frost allegedly revealed a secret affair involving Yandy Smith. Backed by video footage, he claims proves everything. According to insiders, Kirk showed a clip that appeared to capture Yandy in a hotel room wrapped in a robe, laughing with an unseen man whose voice sounded far too familiar for comfort. That single moment, 30 seconds of grainy, intimate energy was enough to send shockwaves through the entire love and hip-hop landscape. Kirk reportedly framed it as the truth finally coming out, insisting he wasn't trying to stir trouble, only expose what he believed had been hidden. But with Kirk's reputation for stirring the pot, no one could tell whether he was delivering facts or fanning flames. Mendeecees, the man most affected, was left blindsided. His reaction, stunned silence followed by visible anger, told fans everything they needed to know about how deeply this allegation cut. And the industry, always hungry for a scandal, latched onto it instantly. Suddenly, everyone had questions. Was the clip real? Was it old? Was Kirk twisting context? Why did he wait until now to show it? The emotional stakes shot through the roof. Yandy's image as loyal and unwavering hung in the balance while Mendeecees battled doubt, betrayal, and rage, all under the spotlight of a fan base that never misses a detail. What made this allegation so explosive wasn't just the supposed effort, was the timing, the delivery, and the fact that it involved three of the most talked about figures in the franchise. And now, with the claim out in the open, the entire foundation of their relationships, reputations, and alliances began to crack, pulling us straight into the chaos that follows next. The anniversary dinner was supposed to be peaceful, intimate, and full of laughter. But instead, it became the exact moment everything in their circle shifted. The restaurant had that dim, warm lighting that usually softens tension. But tonight, it only made the shadows on everyone's faces look sharper. Kirk sat there stiff, barely touching his food, his eyes flicking between Rashida and Mendeecees, like he was rehearsing something in his head. Rashida was trying to keep things light, tapping her nails on her glass, smiling politely. But even she sensed the strange heaviness sitting between them. And then, without warning, Kirk cleared his throat, leaned back, and slowly pulled out his phone, the screen already open to a video thumbnail he'd clearly been waiting to show. He didn't build up to it. He didn't soften the blow. He just turned the screen around, placed it on the table, and pressed play. It was a 30-second clip, grainy loo, lit. and shot from an angle that made it feel like someone recorded it secretly, showing what appeared to be Mendeecees, in a conversation that sounded way too intimate to be innocent. The voice tone, the body language, the small details, all of it instantly tightened Mendeecees' jaw and widened Rashida's eyes. Mendeecees froze, staring at the clip as if he couldn't look away, his chest rising sharply with a breath he didn't finish. Rashida's fork slipped from her hand and clattered onto the plate, but she didn't even look down. Meanwhile, Kirk didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't smile. He just watched Mendeecees the entire time, waiting for the reaction he knew was coming. When the video ended, the table went silent. The kind of silence that makes every sound in the room feel distant. Mendeecees swallowed hard, trying to find words, but nothing came out. Rashida leaned back slowly, studying both of them, trying to decide if she should speak or wait. The waiter approached and instantly sensed the tension, quietly backing away. The air felt cold, thick, and almost metallic as the three sat there, one stunned, one furious, yet controlled, and one deeply disappointed. The dinner never recovered after that. No dessert, no toast, no soft music could fix the cracks that had just formed. They left separately, the atmosphere around them colder than the night air outside. That night, Mendeecees barely spoke a word once he reached home. He moved around the house like he was avoiding his own thoughts, giving short answers and shutting himself in the bedroom for long stretches of time. Yandy noticed immediately the sudden quiet, the heavy steps, the fact that he wouldn't meet her eyes. By morning, the distance had grown worse. He woke up early, grabbed his phone, and started changing passwords as if he didn't want anyone, not even Yandy, to have access to anything. The house felt frozen, with Yandy walking from room to room trying to make sense of what she had done wrong, while Mendeecees stayed locked in his own head, replaying the clip over and over. The usual warmth, the morning jokes, the music playing quietly, the easy flow of conversation all disappeared, replaced by a thick, icy tension that made every small sound echo. Yandy tried asking him if something happened, but he brushed her off with cold, clipped responses. The energy in the home shifted so drastically that even simple movements felt heavy. By the end of the day, they weren't talking at all, and the silence between them had taken on a life of its own. By the next morning, the whispers weren't whispers anymore. They were spreading across social media like wildfire, turning small hints into massive speculation. It all started with a vague tweet from a background cast member who simply wrote, "Y'all ain't ready for what just happened," with a side-eye emoji, and that one post alone was enough to send fans into detective mode. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag who is in the clip, hashtag Kirk got receipts, and hashtag Mendeecees mess started trending. Even though no one had seen the actual video yet, bloggers began piecing together old footage, comparing timestamps, matching outfits, analyzing facial expressions from past episodes, and even pulling up hotel check-in photos from months earlier to see if anything lined up with the alleged clip Kirk had shown. Fan pages zoomed in on blurry screenshots, claiming they'd found clues in the background lighting, the carpet pattern, or the shape of someone's silhouette. TikTok commentators created split-screen theories, pausing at random frames and spinning entire narratives about who Mendeecees might have been talking to and why the conversation sounded so intimate. Meanwhile, Instagram story reposts fueled the fire as anonymous sources claimed the clip was recorded after a late-night event, one that matched an outfit Mendeecees wore in a viral selfie weeks before. Every small detail became a breadcrumb, every rumor became a headline, and every headline pulled in more people trying to decode the truth. What started as private tension between a few people was now spiraling into a digital manhunt, with fans convinced they were uncovering something big, even bigger than what Kirk had hinted. By the time noon hit, the theories had grown so wild that the internet practically felt like a crime scene, with everyone playing detective, waiting, begging for the actual clip to leak. The chaos truly ignited at a brunch that was supposed to be harmless, just a casual midday meet with a few familiar faces. Until Kirk decided to let a little too much slip. He didn't plan a dramatic reveal. He didn't even bring up the clip directly. Instead, someone made a joking comment about relationships being hard work. And Kirk, without even looking up from his plate, murmured, "Yeah, some folks got whole. Yeah, some folks got whole. Secret conversations late at night. Ain't my business, though." The entire table went silent, forks freezing midair, and one person literally dropped their spoon onto the plate, the clatter ringing louder than it should have. Everyone stared at him, wide-eyed, waiting for the punchline, but Kirk stayed completely calm, slicing into his food like he hadn't just thrown a grenade into the center of the table. That was the moment someone quietly pressed record on their phone, capturing the tone, the expression, and most importantly, the tension in his voice. Within hours, that short clip, just 9 seconds long, leaked onto group chats, then private fan pages, and finally exploded onto social media. Suddenly, Kirk's once private hint became the internet's new obsession, with millions of views in a single afternoon. The brunch comment wasn't even explicit, but it was enough to confirm every rumor fans had been brewing. Overnight, the private rumor transformed into public chaos, turning brunch gossip into a full-blown scandal that the entire love and hip-hop universe couldn't stop talking about. As the rumors grew louder and the brunch audio kept circulating, production pressure on Mendeecees hit a boiling point. The network wanted him on camera immediately, hoping to capitalize on the trending hashtags. But he wasn't ready mentally or emotionally, and it showed. He arrived late to shoots, snapping at crew members, walking off set when producers tried to push the clip conversation, and refusing to film scenes that even hinted at relationship drama. Several scheduled appearances were quietly canceled, including a sponsored event where he was supposed to headline, leading brands to take a step back until the situation calmed down. Behind the scenes, producers were panicking because the storyline was exploding online while the cast member at the center of it was unraveling. Mendeecees' normally controlled demeanor cracked under the pressure. He snapped at camera operators for standing too close, refused to mic up, and at one point slammed a door so hard during a shoot break that production halted for the rest of the day. Sponsors began sending concerned emails, worried about associating with potential scandal. And at home, the tension was even worse. Every unanswered question between him and Yandy hovered in the air like smoke, turning small conversations into cold exchanges or dead silence. Family members tried stepping in, but the weight of public speculation mixed with private doubt created a pressure he couldn't outrun. The more he tried to shut out the noise, the more it swallowed him, tightening around his career, family, and reputation, until everything felt like it was slipping out of his control. Eventually, the producers arranged a private sit-down, not for the show, not for cameras, but because things had spiraled so far that they needed the room cleared, just so the two men could talk without an explosion happening on set. They brought Mendeecees and Kirk into a secluded production office, the kind with cold AC, dim lighting, and a round table that forced everyone to look directly at each other. Mendeecees came in tense, jaw tight, eyes sharp, clearly ready to demand answers. Kirk leaned back in his chair, looking more controlled than he had in weeks. It's the kind of calm that made the whole thing feel even more unsettling. Mendeecees didn't waste time. He asked straight up what the intention was, why Kirk showed the clip, what exactly he thought he saw, and why it had to be at a dinner instead of a private call. But Kirk didn't respond with explanations or apologies. Instead, he pulled out his phone again, this time selecting a file not 30 seconds long but several minutes. The room froze as he set the phone on the table, tilted it toward them, and pressed play. The longer clip showed the same conversation as before, but stretched out, revealing the body language, the tone shifts, the pauses, and most importantly, the part where a female voice responded with something that sounded far too familiar to be brushed aside. Yandy's voice, or at least it sounded like it. The moment that voice came through the speaker, everything inside Mendeecees went still. His entire face shifted, confusion, disbelief, and a flicker of something like heartbreak. Yandy, who had been brought into the room moments earlier by producers for transparency, immediately started explaining the clip was out of context. The tone was misleading. It was a work conversation cut in a way that made it look intimate. She said the lighting made it look like a private space, when it was actually the lobby of a hotel where a cast meeting had taken place. She insisted nothing happened. Not then, not ever. But the more she explained, the quieter Mendeecees became. He didn't interrupt. He didn't raise his voice. He just stared at the screen, watching the seconds tick by as his mind replayed every inconsistency. Every cold moment at home, every rumor online. When the clip finally ended, the silence was suffocating. Kirk slid the phone back into his pocket. Yandy kept talking, and Mendeecees sat there, stunned, unable to decide whether to defend her, question her, or simply get up and walk out. The emotional rupture in that room wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive, it was quiet, heavy, and deeply painful. The kind of silence that told everyone present that nothing between them would ever be the same again. Yandy finally reached her breaking point when the online noise became unbearable. The comments calling her a liar. The DMs filled with screenshots, the constant tagging under every post she made. So she went live sitting in front of a plain white wall with no makeup and no glam, clearly wanting the focus on her words rather than her image. Her voice shook at first, but she steadied herself, laying out her version of the story from beginning to end. She said the clip was misleading, edited, manipulated, a moment cropped out of a professional conversation she had in a crowded lobby. She hinted at legal actions, subtly dropping phrases like defamation and intent to harm, making viewers pause and wonder how serious things had gotten behind the scenes. She showed receipts of her travel dates, meeting schedules, even blurry screenshots of the group she claimed had been present during the conversation. But the most emotional part was when she admitted the harassment she was receiving. Anonymous DMs calling her names, people sending threatening messages, bloggers twisting her words for clicks. Influencers reacted instantly, some defending her, saying the narrative had spun out of control, others accusing her of damage control instead of honesty. But for the first time since the drama erupted, a shift happened online. Viewers began acknowledging the double standard, the aggressive way people tore her apart without proof, and the toll public speculation was taking on her mental health. A small but noticeable wave of sympathy started forming. People commenting, maybe we judged too fast. Looks edited. Someone's playing dirty behind the scenes. It wasn't a full redemption, but it was the beginning of a complicated, unexpected shift in public perception, with some fans now questioning whether Yandy was the villain or another victim of a messy, manipulated situation spiraling out of control. But just as the tide began turning in Yandy's favor, Kirk poured gasoline back onto the fire with a set of cryptic Instagram posts that sent the internet into another frenzy. He didn't mention names, but he didn't need to. Lines like "truth don't need defending" and "when people play innocent, that's when you watch closest" were clear enough. Fans swarmed the comments, demanding he release the full clip, tagging Mendeecees and Yandy in every thread. Rashida, tired of being pulled into mess she didn't create, made a private remark during a friend's dinner if they only knew the real reason he showed that clip. And of course, someone leaked it within hours, adding new layers of speculation. Then Yandy's sister went live, furious and emotional, defending Yandy and directly calling out certain people who want attention more than accountability, which everyone interpreted as a direct shot at Kirk. The drama spread so fast that old controversies resurfaced, past relationship rumors, unresolved arguments, forgotten episodes all dragged back into the spotlight as fans tried to stitch together motives and timelines. The narrative fractured into multiple versions depending on who people believed. Some swore Kirk was exposing the truth. Others believed he was stirring chaos for clout. Some blamed production for manipulating everyone, and others said the entire cast had been sitting on secrets for months. What started as a single leaked clip had now turned into a multi-layered storm of accusations, alliances, and half-truths, with family members, cast members, influencers, and longtime fans all adding fuel. And just like that, the storyline became too big, too tangled, and too explosive to contain. Just when the internet thought the narrative was sealed, an unexpected twist shattered every theory overnight. Anonymous security footage surfaced, time-stamped, dangled, and impossible to ignore. The clip didn't show secret intimacy or a private meeting. Instead, it revealed Yandy standing in a brightly lit hotel lobby, surrounded by 2 team members and a retreat staffer, all mid-conversation, completely contradicting the idea that she had been alone with anyone. The camera angle was distant but clear enough to show the context that had been missing from Kirk's shorter, cropped version. As soon as the footage hit Twitter and Reddit, bloggers scrambled to adjust their narratives. Pages that had confidently pushed the affair theory were suddenly posting corrections, admitting that they might have jumped the gun. TikTok detectives who had spent days building timelines began stitching new videos, acknowledging the possibility of heavy editing and misleading angles. Even fans who had been the loudest critics of Yandy fell silent. Posting hesitant comments like this changes everything. And hold on. So what was Kirk's motive then? The shift wasn't instant redemption for Yandy, but it cracked open doubt in the storyline everyone thought they understood. Suddenly, the villain of the scandal wasn't as clear-cut, and the audience perception flipped from certainty to confusion. Realizing the drama might be far more staged, manipulated, or misunderstood than anyone originally believed. As the dust finally began to settle, the chaos slowly unwound into something quieter but far more fragile. Mendeecees stepped back from filming and public appearances entirely, taking what sources called a personal pause to regroup and process everything away from cameras. Yandy focused on rebuilding the trust and stability that had been shaken during the scandal, posting calmer updates about family, work, and healing a noticeable shift from the defensive tone she had used earlier. Meanwhile, Kirk faced growing backlash, with fans calling out the selective editing, the timing, and the intentions behind releasing the clip in the first place. Even Rashida seemed distant from the situation now, choosing silence rather than adding more fuel to the fire. The entire cast entered a strange, uneasy, quiet, not resolution, not forgiveness. Just a temporary halt where everyone waited to see what would happen next. And as this episode reaches its close, the story is far from finished. Now it's your turn. Drop your theories in the comments. Was this all a misunderstanding, a setup, or something deeper that hasn't come to light yet? What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Stay locked in because the next episode dives into the unseen angles, the motives no one wants to admit, and the fallout still bubbling beneath the surface.